You're listening to the Listen Up Show, Startup Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Mitchell Chadro, your host. I am so excited to have this show, 021. Today, we're here with Michael Giangiordano II. What are we going to discuss in today's show, 021? Well, it helps to talk to as many people as you can, making those important connections early on and most often are key to building a good, solid foundation and business. The legal resources that he was able to get for free right there on the Drexel campus, from drafting and reviewing contracts to website development to helping with his trademarks to starting his company. He's someone who obviously has a lot of faith. He surrounds himself with really good people. He's ready, willing, and able to face the challenges and willing to fail and push back if need be to find the answers. Listen up, trusted friends. It's your business, it's your family, it's your life. Now let's get started. Well, we're going to find out the personal story of Michael. We're going to discuss his business, Rental Rater, and his experiences at Drexel University, his philosophy on life and family, some of the resources and steps that he took to start his new company. We also talked to him a little bit about Dean Salas from the close school at Drexel University in show 014. And Michael actually talks to us a little bit about Dean Salas, also the LeBow College of Business. Please sign up to my email list for the latest special offers exclusive for our Listen Up Show Startup Entrepreneur Podcast audience at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. I have been providing business advice, resources, and help to entrepreneurs for over 20 years, and I'm looking forward to helping all of you. Sign up for my email list, again, at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. I will provide you with full transcript for each interview, my ebook, 30 Tools to Start Up, the Startup Checklist, and many other education and training materials, all back at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. Now enjoy the show. And we're here today with Michael Giangiordano. He's a young entrepreneur. He's the founder and CEO of RentalRater.com, which focuses on three main areas: reviewing rental properties, reviewing the landlord who actually owns the property, and then reviewing the neighborhood and or the location that the property's actually in. And he really has a passion for politics. From what I hear, he actually wants to be president of the United States one day. He's also done some internships with the city of Philadelphia, as well as he's into, of course, city politics. Michael, I see that you actually worked in the Philadelphia Register of Wills as well, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your own personal story? Tell us a little bit about your background and how it ties into how you're helping people today with Rental Rater.
Yeah, so Mitch, thanks for having me on.
Certainly, sure.
Yeah.
No, it's a real pleasure. I'm glad that we're able to have you on as a wonderful aspiring young entrepreneur, and I'm sure you have a lot of good insight for other startups as well.
Yeah. So I'm 22-year-old, lifelong South Philadelphian, 13th and Tasker, for any of those that are familiar, right off of Pashock Avenue, the booming spot now in Philadelphia.
Yeah, the home of Rocky, right?
The home of Rocky, right?
But most people don't realize that Rocky's really not from South Philly. He's from Northeast Philadelphia, if you know. He went to Northeast High School.
Yeah. They actually filmed right around the corner from me at Victor's Cafe.
Oh, really cool, really neat. Well, my folks are from South Philly, so there's the connection I have there. They went to South Philly High.
Very cool. Yeah, so I'm from down there. My great-grandfather came over from Italy in the early 1900s and started his own businesses down there. He had a produce business in the Italian market there on 9th Street. My grandfather continued that business. And along the way, they were buying real estate. And my father, when he went to college, he was the first of his family to go. He went in for public administration and real estate, and then eventually went on to start his own company. And for me, I always worked in his company since I was young and really kind of enjoyed that, entrepreneurship and, having your own, baby, I want to call it, your own company, your own business. So for me, it's been something that's been in my blood. I went to St. Nicholas, which is down there in South Philly. I still stay very active and involved with the church and the school. And then from there, I went to St. Prep, another great institution, fine place, a great community.
The startup round, mitchellchadro.com/hosting for all your web hosting needs. Tell us a little bit about the mission and vision that you actually have for Rental Raiders. I think that the young entrepreneurs out there, the people that are thinking of starting up a company would be most intrigued in terms of how you came up with the idea and what your vision is for it and your mission.
So I just didn't know what. And like I mentioned, I work in my father's real estate company. I show some of his apartment. And one day I was showing an apartment, and the young woman asked me, what the tenant thought of the place and, what they had to say, it's like there. And, my answer was, I'm assuming they're happy. They haven't said anything otherwise. I think that, we're good landlords for the most part. And she said, I'd like to really talk to her. And I said, I have to see, if she's in my head, why isn't there review their landlords, the properties they live in, and the communities and neighborhoods of the buildings that they live in. So after doing some research and kind of looking around, I saw that there wasn't really a universal for that. And that's where the idea for Rental Raider came from. And it was born. And now we're getting ready to launch it, which is pretty exciting. And after a year, and, it took some convincing to convince my father, about his business because, he's kind of old school in the sense that he thinks of selling a product, and he didn't really understand the concept. And then I finally convinced him, and he was on board. So started business. And
What are some of the reoccurring themes that you experience as a young entrepreneur that you can summarize for the benefit of other aspiring startups and growth phase businesses?
I think that you have to be ready and willing to experience challenges. And, you're going to fail sometimes. And sometimes people are going to, push back at you. And you have to be ready to really answer those questions that people ask you. And, if you don't have some of the answers, you have to find them. Recently, I met with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about the business. And, he said, well, you're ready to launch. I said, yeah. And he said, how long? And I said, in the next 2 weeks. And he said, really? You have this done? You have this done? And I said, no. You have to talk to other people, and you have to get their advice and opinions, and you have to really float ideas off of, I believe as many people as possible, because you might think it's great, but, everybody else doesn't think it's great. And you really have to do your research, and you have to go out and know what you're talking about before you just want to push on and do something.
Often are working so hard, setting our goals, trying to achieve and be all that we can be. You need a balance. For that, there's balance. Just go to mitchellchadro.com/balance and get 25% off the regular monthly price, which is only $2.50 per month. You see, I use balance every day to relax, stay calm, and focused, increase my energy, and to naturally feel good each and every day. And you can as well. Your dad was involved in real estate and that you've worked with him from a very early age. But how did you come upon this idea? What was the epiphany? What was the aha moment that said to you, gee, this is it. This is really what I want to do as an aspiring young entrepreneur?
Yeah, as I said, I think it was when I was showing that place, and I looked around and I said, okay, let's see what's out there, what kind of apps, what kind of websites. And I didn't find anything that was really user-friendly, easy to navigate, and something that was universal. And for that, I kind of thought of the idea of Rental Raider, and I said, I really want to make this easy to use. I want to make it simple. I want to make it to the point. And I want somebody to go on and, just type in where they live and be able to post and put a review up. So I think for me, it was simplicity, and it was just finding what the right, ingredients were to make this platform successful. And I think I found that because I kind of looked around and saw what other people did and said, okay, maybe it's not the best idea to rate just a landlord. Maybe I do need to rate, 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street and say, okay, give a rating to Unit 3. and rate the landlord and rate the property and rate the neighborhood and really, inform tenants before they go and rent places. Because what I found, I only worked with my dad since I was young, but, officially for 4 or 5 years. And what I kind of found was that, as nice of a person or, as great as you think you are as a landlord and property owner, that there's always a little bit of skepticism. Tenants would like to know what other tenants have to say. And I think to that point, it's kind of been proven by sites like Yelp. You have Rate My Professor, you have Angie's List. You have a lot of great companies out there that do a similar thing in different industries. So for Rental Rater, I wanted to do it in real estate. And I wanted to say, okay, the one, if you lived at 1234 Main Street, you'd rate the apartment, you'd rate the landlord, and you'd rate the neighborhood. And I wanted it to be that on not only just the big level, I call it the macro level, but the micro level as well. So what I mean by that is not just apartment complexes, but the duplex on Jackson Street in South Philly, or, the row home in the Northeast. I wanted it to be everything. I wanted to encompass everything so that everybody, no matter what they're renting, could find out and, read reviews from past tenants.
Now, on a past show, we actually interviewed Dean Salas, and you probably know Dean Salas from being the dean of the closed school there on Drexel's campus. And we talked to him quite a bit about the resources that the students have right there on campus. So being that you were in the LeBow Business College there, I'm just curious, what type of resources have you been able to utilize not only on Drexel's campus, but in the surrounding areas to basically help you as a new startup, as a young aspiring entrepreneur?
Well, I know Damien very well. I've spoken with him and met with him and, discussed the idea with him on numerous occasions. And they've been not only, I can't say excellent, more than excellent. I mean, Drexel, the closed school, LeBow, they've all been very supportive. I went to, LeBow, some faculty and administration in LeBow first and kind of floated the idea with them. Besides at first floating it with my family, they were the same people I went to, and they said, this sounds great. Sounds like you're really passionate about it. Sounds like something you want to do. We want to point you in the connection of the closed school. And that's when I met with Damien. I met Ian there, who's an assistant dean as well. And they have been nothing but helpful and providing me connections and people and, places. They pointed me in the direction of my developer. They provided me free legal services, which has been, a blessing because there's so many things you have to consider when you're trying to start something like this up. You have to think of the legal aspects, and to have a free lawyer from the school who's a mentor, and now I call him a friend, is incredible. So I think Drexel and even my community and the people I know in the real estate business and other businesses have been, more than supporting and willing to lend a helping hand to get this venture off the ground.
And so what attorney or what law firm are you using, and what has he actually helped you with? I think, knowing those steps from, starting the business to taking the next step to building the website, I think is critical. And for other people that are thinking about this, that, maybe they don't have the same number of connections, or maybe they haven't been involved in as many extracurricular activities as you have in your community. How do they get there? And so maybe talking a little bit about who those mentors are and maybe the law firm that's been able to sort of help you with some of that. I think that would be very helpful as well.
Well, the gentleman who's the attorney, his name's Phil. Now, in the closed school, there are free resources for account. If you need an accountant, if you need an attorney, they have those resources. And then when you join and if you become a member of the Biata Institute, which is like their incubator program, you get access to even more resources. So for me, I'm going to apply and hopefully get into that program. But
now, what is that program called?
It's the Biata Institute for Entrepreneurship.
Okay, because we'll actually have a link to all the resources that we talk about in this show, and people will be able to find that at mitchellchadro.com/show021. We'll have all the show notes, but continue, because I think it's very important to let others some of the resources that you've been able to utilize.
Yeah, so like I was saying, the Biata Institute is an incubator space, which is great. They give you space to work and have an office, and you even win money if you place in the top 3. I believe it's the top first, second, and third place if your business plan, your pitch goes through, which is another great resource. But back to Phil. Phil is my attorney. Now, Phil, Mitch, to tell you the truth, I don't know what law firm he's with, because he kind of does this as a pro bono kind of, giving back. And how I connected with Phil was actually through his wife, who was my mentor, officially through the LeBow College of Business. And when I went to meet her for lunch, I said, Bonnie, I'm working on this startup and this business. And she said, oh, that sounds great. My husband actually started a company. Now, his company is called Click Music, and it's like an app for music services and streaming. You should talk to him. He's really great. He kind of, as an entrepreneur, can help you not only from the legal aspect, but from, kind of just giving you advice and guidance. So I said, that was great. It'd be, great to help me out. Thank you. So I talked to Phil, and I've been in contact with Phil, numerous times, through the development, through trying to put the LLC together, to, negotiating the contract with the developers, and trying to file a trademark, because he mainly is a trademark and IP attorney. So that resource was, I can't even thank them enough for what they've done. And
so it sounds as if, like, from logo design to website design to trademarking to, like you said, the contracts for the people that you're outsourcing those things to actually setting up the LLC, you've been able to work with him in that regard. No, that's terrific. If you were looking to incorporate your business, start a business, an LLC, an S corporation, a C corporation, or a nonprofit, head on over to mitchellchadro.com/INC. So that's mitchellchadro.com/Inc. And obviously through the podcast here, that's some of the solutions that we provide, through free premium services to our audience members, so that they can sort of gain from that as well. And they could also learn from, entrepreneurs that are actually out there doing it right now. So we really appreciate you, telling us your personal story. What do you think are the most common mistakes then of some of the young entrepreneurs out there that either make them delay or prevent their success? You talked about, how your dad was in the real estate business, and had it not been for that, you obviously wouldn't have been stumbling upon, so to speak, having your aha moment in developing Rental Rater. But what do you think is holding other people back? Because obviously you talk to other young entrepreneurs, whether it be on the Drexel's campus or, in the tri-state area or across the country. What have you found that they've indicated is preventing them from sort of stepping into the self-employment, the young entrepreneur space?
I think it's 3 things. It's really overthinking, in the sense that, you kind of go in with this great idea, and you almost blow the idea to be so big and so colossal, where, you're just too in over your head. I think that the Rental Rater, I want it to be simple, and I would urge that. You want to be simple. You want to stick to the main idea and not try to deviate. Because if you deviate too quickly, you get in over your head, and now, you have something that might cost more money, you might, need more development hours, is more legally complex. So really, staying on track and not overthinking it. So, for instance, with Rental Rater, I could have said, and I want to jump in and not just be a rating website. I want to do a listing website. But, after talking, with other people, with my developer, we said, let's stay simple. Let's stick to what the original idea was. So don't overthink it. I think you have to also want to take the risk. You're not willing to want to risk it and want to be, willing to sacrifice a lot of time, effort, and not wanting to do that, because it is a big risk, and wanting to kind of, delay going out and maybe working in a normal job in the real world, so to speak. So you have to be a risk taker. And I think lastly,
So can you give us some of the essential understandings entrepreneurs need to have to develop that proper mindset to deal with these daily challenges that they're facing? I mean, you talked a little bit about how, the step-by-step processes that's taking to stay focused and stay on track, but maybe talk a little bit about the mindset for others to basically deal with some of these challenges that they're going to face.
So for me, first and foremost, is communicating with family, friends. And for me, I have a lot of faith. So praying and talking to God and asking him, what direction I'm going to be going in. But for me, I'd say, just talking with people. And, if you have this big idea and you think it's something that can work, just sit down with a friend or a family member, a parent. Say, what do you think of this? And before you kind of overthink it, you're going to go too far with it. Just, if it's simple and something that you think can really work, then, you'll get the answer you want from the person, regardless. If you believe in it, if you're passionate about it,
it's interesting because our podcast is not only about business, but it's about family and life. And I really like when you talk about your faith and about obviously talking to God and the importance of that. I see your background, working with the church and whatnot. So that's a really nice message to be able to give to the audience. And you're very poised as a young person. I think you mentioned that you were 22. Obviously, you just recently graduated. Where does the drive come from to be successful and to make a difference in this world? Where do you think that comes from?
I think first within, you have that passion.
So say that one more time so that we get that clearer.
I'm sorry. I think it comes from within you. I think that you have to have that drive. You have to have that passion. You have to want to do something that's going to make a difference in the world. But secondly, what kind of forms you, or again, going back to that family, friends, parents, faith, it's those institutions around you, that people, places, churches, schools, that kind of form who you are. And for me, I've been blessed and very lucky to have a very supportive family, very strong, a very good friend group that is always there to help me. And lastly, parents who are there to support me in whatever I do. When I was young, I always knew I wanted to run business. Like I said, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know. And, I said, well, maybe I'll do real estate. And my father said, do whatever makes you happy. Do what you want to get up every day and go to work and love what you do. I know that sounds, a little cliche, and that's kind of what everybody says, but you have to have the passion, and you have to have the drive. And like I said, it comes from within, but it's those around you that influence you. And again, I'll just say once again, I've been very blessed personally to have people around me that are very supportive and very loving, willing to help out in whatever they can.
It sounds like you've really had a good, close group of people, family, as you've indicated, God, your faith. But along the way, did anybody try to say to you, well, don't do this, or, get a job working for someone else, whether it be an advisor or some type of a mentor, or just anybody that tried to discourage you or to sort of maybe pull back on your vision a little bit?
Absolutely. I've, experienced people along the way who just, really didn't like my upbeat, bigger, larger than life kind of vision and personality. But I wanted to point to one example. It was an advisor about college. And as I said, I went to Drexel, and I was looking at various colleges, in Philadelphia, in New York, in D.C. And, one of the things that the person had said to me, because I was, like I said, I'm a family person. I enjoy being at home, being around family, being around friends. One of the things that the person had said to me was that, maybe, you shouldn't consider staying at home and either commuting to school. And, I kind of took that back. Well, what's wrong with that? And it kind of put me back, everybody else, I want to live at college or live at home and then maybe in a college.
Sure.
And we think about
Now, the company, your LLC, is obviously very young. But what has been, in this short period of time, one of your lower moments as a business leader or owner, as an entrepreneur, that, that you look back on and over these last several months, obviously you've grown from. But I think that would be helpful to tell people a little bit about the ups and the downs, and in this particular case, some of the lower moments since you've been starting your business.
Yeah, again.
So just to make sure that everybody out there heard what you were saying is that, for almost a year, you were actually contemplating whether to basically pull the trigger, so to speak, and actually start this company. You were up on the fence in terms of making the decision that you're going to take this risk. If you could take us from that point so that we can all hear you properly, here today. But what you were saying is that the lowest moment as a business leader was really you were basically wanting to know whether or not you can pull this trigger or not. You were basically up on a fence wondering, can I really take this risk? And maybe you could take the audience through that a little bit. I think that would be very helpful now that you're back on with us.
So the story that I was telling
sure.
Was that, obviously I was talking to my sister one night and we were debating, what would we call that? What do you think? What's an idea? What would you call it? And I said, I like the rental rate. He said, well, I don't know if that's really that good. It's okay. And I really like it. That's fine. Your business, you do what you want. But I really like it. So I'm going to go with rental rate because it's catchy. It's, easy, whatever. So I go to look GoDaddy and I go to look see domains available because obviously I can't own a company and run a company if I don't have the website for it. So it wasn't available. So I was like, well, I guess that kind of, kills that idea for rental later. So then a couple months go by and I'm still kind of debating whether I wanted to do this and we're floating ideas for company names and, I'm like, I don't like that. And, then I went on GoDaddy just one day randomly and I see that it's for sale. I'm like, well, that's really weird. That must be a sign. As I said, I believe I'm a very faithful, God-driven person. And
yeah, right.
Click buy. So I buy the domain, but then I'm hit with another obstacle. And says, well, first we have to confirm with the current owner. We have to give them first the right to buy it. So it's 48 hours. Now for the next 2 days, I'm on edge, sitting there waiting. And I get an email. And the email says, you are now the owner of rentalrater.com.
Wow.
And at that moment, I kind of knew that this was what I was meant to do. And from there, it's history. At least
I'll tell you what, that was really meant to be. That's really neat. That's almost like an aha type of moment for you, where the light bulb kind of went off and said, wow. I mean, it seems like a small thing, but it seems like it was meant to be, and that's really exciting from what I hear. Let me ask you, how are you going to be driving traffic to the website, some business strategy, some things that you're using to be able to do that, and how you're going to obviously make money with this.
Yeah.
If you can let everybody know, because there's a lot of people with a lot of good ideas out there, but they want to say, well, gee, how are we going to drive traffic and make some money here?
Well, to drive traffic, obviously the site needs reviews. So when I think of the company, I think of it in kind of 4 stages, and it's first stage, building the site, launching the site. Second stage, obtaining reviews. Third stage would be marketing it to landlords and bringing in revenue. And fourth stage would be growing and expanding to different cities and hopefully around the world. So really to try to drive users, like I said earlier, I really want to utilize the connections I have in the real estate community because, my dad has a business, he has tenants. So I've been telling them about it. I have my business cards everywhere I go. I hand them out. I tell people. And I'm really, right now in the process of nailing down a couple key partnerships is what I call it. And essentially what it will be is hopefully I will promote a landlord developer and they will promote me to their tenants, hoping to drive people to the site and to review their rentals. And then eventually, revenue-wise, I'd like to make money through advertising and possibly promotion of rentals. So, let's say I'm a landlord and I own a few properties. And I might say, okay, I'm going to list my property on RentalRater. And, I have an A+ rating. So I want the prospective tenants to know that. So I'm going to put it up there and boost it or promote it for $10. X amount of people will see it. So eventually, once we have the users and we have the reviews and we have the kind of the base of people utilizing the service, that's where I envision the revenue to come from.
Our fast pitch, MitchellChadro.com/books for books, audio books, guest recommendations, and the books that I read to start up each day. sponsors our Fast Pitch, my book club recommendations, back at mitchellchadro.com/books. To see more of my recommendations and recommendations of our guests, just go to mitchellchadro.com/books. It's your number one resource for book reviews and recommendations. So you're ready, right?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, super. What one thing contributes most to your success?
My faith.
And your best business advice you ever got?
Fail also.
And, next, like we said, it's sponsored by Audible, so it's the Audible Inspirational Book, which is mitchellchadro.com/audible. If you can name a book that has helped you in either business, family, or life that stands out that you can recommend to everybody.
I just read The Tale of St. Augustine. It's a little dry, but it's a good story about his life and how he kind of converts and turns to his faith. So yeah. I just finished that, and it was a great book.
No, terrific. If you had a billboard and you could put anything on it, what would it say or what would it be?
I would probably say love yourself.
And what flaws have turned out to be strengths for you?
I like to talk a lot. And
you know what? You know what's really funny, Michael? So do I. And the funny thing is that that's why I called the podcast Listen Up Podcast. Because I like to talk too much. So, okay, that's very, very cool. How about an app that you use to help you in business, family, or life? Just something that you use all the time that could certainly be a benefit to other people.
Yeah, it's not really a benefit, but it's a fun app. I'm a big Snapchatter.
Okay, all right, that'll work. A quote or a mantra that you use to inspire and motivate others.
A quote or a mantra? Wow, I probably have a ton. I'm trying to think. I guess I would probably go with Abraham Lincoln as a big presidential fan. A house divided cannot stand.
Okay, I like it. How about a purchase less than $100 that has impacted your life the most? Under $100. So you don't have to spend a lot of money in order to get something big.
Yeah. You know what? It's probably I would say Fitbit. It's a neat, got one for $70. Tells you how long you sleep, tells you how many miles you walk, how many steps you take.
Sounds good to me. The fun fact that I mentioned about you earlier is since the third grade, you always wanted to be the president of the United States. So maybe in addition to that, since I already took that one up in your introduction, a fun fact about you that maybe not a lot of people know about.
A fun fact that not a lot of people know about. It probably ties with the politics, but I'm a big history lover. I always loved it since I was young. Big fan of medieval Italy and kind of the papacy and France and England.
When you think of the word successful, what first name comes to your mind?
When I think of successful, it's not about money; it's about family and relationships.
And what books do you gift the most to a family or friends or I know that you've already given us our Audible Inspirational Book, but this is also a book maybe that you've gifted the most or considered giving as a gift?
I just watched the movie and I'm reading the book now, Miracle from Heaven. And again, it's kind of a religious, but it's something I see myself wanting to give to others and having them read.
No, I think I think it's terrific. It says a lot about you in terms of the type of books that you're recommending. So, yeah. We certainly appreciate it. We had Susan Matthews on our show 005, who's the niece of Chris Matthews, and of course she's also the niece of Jim Matthews. You're local here, so he was the chair of the board in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. So we enjoy politics. Also, our show today is sponsored by TrustSmarter.com. So for all your personal relationships, building those connections. I mean, we've just heard you talk about it, Michael, about how the connections that you've had in your dad's real estate company has really made the difference and sort of reaching out to family and friends and other people. But so those personal relationships are really important. And so for that, there's TrustSmarter.com and also BankSmarter.com. So for alternative banking, young entrepreneurs like to bank, right? They like to get good deals at banks. Well, if you head on over to BankSmarter.com, there's a lot of alternative banking solutions that are available to you. So in some of these parting words, and we've really thoroughly enjoyed this, Michael, we're really excited to see how this business is going to basically take off and how it's going to launch. And I'd certainly like to circle back around with you and see how you're doing. And I know everybody in the audience obviously wants to stay in contact. So we're certainly going to ask you, how can everybody discover more about Michael, whether that's Twitter or the website or however we can stay in touch, and then maybe some parting words until we speak to you again.
Yeah, well, I'm more than happy to connect with anybody on LinkedIn. You could just find me, search Michael Giangiordano. There's only about 4 of us in the world, so you'll probably find me. I'm an avid Facebooker as well, and you can also follow the company on Facebook, Rental Raider. We're on Twitter at rental_raider, and we're on Instagram at Rental Raider to find out more information. And as well, you can go to www.rentalraider.com and sign up and subscribe for information. We're getting ready to launch soon. And if anyone is interested in giving me advice or feedback about the site and how it looks and feels, I'd be more than happy to send over the link to the development page. Mitch, I would love to get your feedback on the site as well. And that's pretty much connect with me. I'll be more than happy to connect with anyone.
Our wrap-up round, mitchellchadro.com/photos for all your graphic design needs. Well, I'll tell you what, not only am I going to provide that information for you, but like I said, you'll obviously have that link for us. I'll attach it to the notes right here. And anybody that comes directly to the site will have that as well. And now that you're one of our guests on our show, you're always welcome to come back and promote whatever you have going on or whatever we could do to help you. We're really thankful that you were able to come on to the program. I know that you're going to inspire a lot of young entrepreneurs, people out there that are thinking about starting a business. Maybe we're on that fence. They're certainly going to be inspired by your words. Not only about your words, but your faith. And, we just want to thank you so very much. Any parting words of wisdom before we say until we speak again?
I guess my last kind of parting thoughts would be, if you're passionate about it, you want to do it, go do it. And, for me as well, I would say get involved. Do as many things as you can. For me, I try to put my hand in as many pots as possible. Some people, I've said, you're stretching yourself too wide. And so, well, why not try it? Try to put, you don't have to always put 110%. You could try to, but even that little 10 or 5%, maybe you're helping an organization, design a flyer for an event or, doing a Facebook page for them. Try to get involved because it's those connections, it's those people that you'll meet and the good things that you do for others that'll go a long way and support you when you eventually go out, start a business, work somewhere or whatever you do in life.
Trusted friends, did you listen up to what Michael just said? There were so many value bombs in that last piece of wisdom that I hope you all listened up, and you can get the show notes at mitchellchadro.com/show021. Until next time, we want to thank you, Michael. We're looking forward to seeing your success in the future. We're certainly going to be in touch with you real soon.
Definitely.
And we want to thank you so very much. Again, trusted friends, until next time, you guys take care. In closing, let me ask for my listeners' help. First, please subscribe to my email list at mitchellchadro.com/signup. You will get all the full interview transcripts, my ebook, 30 Tools to Start Up, where I talk about these free resources in show 006. You'll get the startup checklist, education and training materials, and other resources just by signing up at mitchellchadro.com/signup. Listen up, trusted friends. It's your business, it's your family, it's your life. Go out and live it. back at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. Help me boost the rankings of the Listen Up Show, the Startup Entrepreneur Podcast, by providing a well-written review in iTunes. mitchellchadro.com/iTunes. It helps other people find the show. If you actually need instructions on how to do this, you can find that back at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. Thank you so much for subscribing to my email list and providing a written review on iTunes. Until next time. At mitchellchadro.com/shopping, you can shop all your shopping needs.